Let's just review some of the numbers. EPS $1.62 versus $1.54 estimated. Revenue $68.1 billion versus $66.2 billion. Net income almost doubled at $43 billion. And then revenue in data centers business climbed by 75% from a year ago to $62.3 billion. What's your reaction to the earnings results?
Yeah, certainly great earnings, but we've learned to expect that from the Nvidia. I think initially after the earnings announcement, the stock jumped quite a bit in the aftermarket, but I think it's settled back a little bit. So again, the $1.54 earnings per share that you referenced is about mid-range. So it didn't necessarily knock off the cover off the ball, but it did very well. And this is what we continue to see for as you previously disclosed. The earnings have been good over the last 11 quarters, 55% growth. The juggernaut keeps moving forward.
How satisfied are you with the results?
Well, I'm satisfied. Again, I think that's what you come to expect. What we're looking for is the day that Nvidia does disappoint, right? That'll be the moment we need to look out for.
Shares were down in after hours, and I'm sort of the opinion that no matter what this juggernaut company does, it's not good enough because they're expecting results, 200, 300% up on the previous quarter. But at some point, that has to sort of moderate. Guidance as well is a key component. That was also better than expected. Came in that revenue for the first quarter is expected at $78 billion. What is your expectation there? Because Nvidia is a bellwether for the sector. What do these results augur for the rest of the tech and software industry in the US, in your opinion?
A couple things. First of all, with the guidance, it's my understanding they weren't able to give much clarity on China, which is obviously a large market and is subject to some tariffs and other constraints right now. The other thing is the revenue breakdown in Nvidia's earnings. And we saw the greatest growth in the data centers. That's not surprising. That is where we continue to see the growth. Gaming, which was kind of the start for this company, fell a little bit short. I think they made about 3.375 billion revenue versus a little over 4 that was estimated. The other positive area was the Pro Viz area. These are the things like computer-aided drawing and so forth, and that beat by almost double. I think it came in at about 1.3 billion. They were looking for about 750 million. The robotics is still a growing area, and original equipment manufacturers is basically flat.
You touched on China. Obviously, that's a key component. How important is further clarity on the status of compliant AI chip sales into China, do you think?
Well, Jensen Huang basically dismissed it as not a problem. So we'll see. I think, these tariff issues that come out of Washington, they change by the day and even the hour. So we'll remain. But if you can give positive guidance without the China piece in there, that still bodes pretty well for the company and fortunes.
I want to talk a little bit about this mega deal between AMD, a 6 gigawatt GPU deal with Meta. Are companies now trying to diversify, in your opinion, away from reliance on Nvidia, who's obviously been the leader in this sector?
Well, that's always the nature of capitalism and free markets, right? Is the competition will rise, and if there are excess earnings, as we've seen in the in this chip sector, especially, the competition will need to rise and basically mitigate some of those earnings, right? At least for Nvidia, and that's another fear that we see going forward. At some point, Nvidia will probably lose its dominance in this area.
And sir, what's Nvidia's biggest challenge in 2026, in your opinion? Is it the sentiment? Because investors always seem to want more from this company. Is it competition, particularly when it comes to trade and regulatory uncertainty when it comes to China?
I think it's both. Investor sentiment is always important. We've seen it just, you know, go crazy here the last few months. First, AI could do no harm. You know, investors, it was going to be the future of the world. Next, in the last few months, you've seen AI could be the bane of the future and ruin jobs and crash the economy and so forth. There's been speculation about that. So you know, the uncertainty is going to remain, especially around this sector and with AI, because it is just growing so fast.